Hello there! Obi-Wan Kenobi, Episode 6. The series is now officially over as of the moment. I haven't heard much official news regarding a Season 2, so I'm just gonna go and operate on the assumption that this is all we're getting from Obi-Wan from the time being. I mean, jury's still out on if he's going to show up as a Force Ghost in the upcoming Ahsoka series. Who knows? For all I care, he could show up in Endor. So, yeah. I don't necessarily think it's the last time we ever get to see Obi-Wan. I mean, he could just show up in Jedi Survivor for all I care. But for now, we have this one season and one of this show to talk about. Boy, they did not disappoint with the final chapter in this series. First of all, I'm going to reiterate something that I said a couple of episodes ago, which in and of itself was said to me by someone else. I believe it was Screen Crush that pointed it out to me, so go ahead and check them out once you're done with this. But basically, according to them, every single episode of this show, in a way, mirrored one of the episodes from the original Skywalker saga 1 through 6. So, like, episode 1, I mean, they do a much better breakdown than I'm going to do, but in episode 1, sort of mirrors some familiar plot points from The Phantom Menace. Episode 2 mirrors certain plot points from Attack of the Clones. I mean, it's definitely noticeable in episode 3, which does mirror a lot of moments from Revenge of the Sith, and so on and so forth. So basically, this episode was, in a way, a mirror of Return of the Jedi, and I'm so glad that Screen Crush pointed it out to me, because this made this episode just feel that much more special. Obviously, we get the moment that mirrors Luke on the shuttle Tidarium, sensing that Vader is on the other ship, and that he's endangering the mission, and then eventually, after they land on Endor, he decides to go and confront Vader on his own, more or less mirroring what Obi-Wan himself did in this episode. And then obviously there's the epic duel between Obi-Wan and his former apprentice, Anakin Skywalker slash Darth Vader. First of all, the stuff on the ship I really do like. I loved how Obi-Wan finally found his center. He finally went back to being the Obi-Wan that he used to be. It's such a great character development, character growth for Obi-Wan from in episode 1, episode 1 of this show, that is, he did not want to get involved. He did not even think about helping other people, even other fellow Jedi on the run who came in and begged him for his help, to all this. And after everything he went through in this show, now he became the Obi-Wan Jedi Master that he used to be. And I love how visually this change was presented to us in each individual episode, from when he was wearing those dark and greedy clothes in episode 1 and 2, to slowly sort of removing some of the layers of his clothing, to where he finally ended up with the white Jedi robes that we know he wears all the time in both the Star Wars prequels and when we get to see him in the original trilogy. And yes, he does wear the exact same clothes throughout the entire original trilogy, because apparently once you die, you don't get to change your clothes. More on that later. But even his hair was sort of messy and not very Obi-Wan-ish in episode 1 and 2 and a little bit of 3. Sort of over time, his hair also slightly changed until it became the Obi-Wan type hairstyle that we know and we're familiar with, and that's why we love Obi-Wan for the fabulous hair. And so yeah, the visual side of it was definitely not lost on me. The costume department really did do a hell of a job with that. But as far as the duel itself, I loved it. It's another great epic duel to add to the long-standing list of amazing, incredible lightsaber duels in Star Wars. It's not my favorite. I'm not going to say that right off the bat. It's not my favorite, obviously, but it does pull from my personal favorite lightsaber duel in all of Star Wars, which is Vader versus Ahsoka. And obviously, there's, a lot of familiar themes: master versus apprentice, friend versus friend who fell to the dark side. And to make this, to hammer the point home even further, the breaking of Vader's mask to where you can actually see his eye, his remaining human eye. And I love that it was the opposite side to where Ahsoka slashed his helmet. I think she slashed the right side of his helmet. Obi-Wan slashed the left side of the helmet. So sort of, they both unmasked Vader, but neither one of them unmasked him fully. That was something that Luke did in Return of the Jedi. So I love, again, the visual representation and the symbolism is not lost on me one bit. And so also the dialogue exchange between Obi-Wan and Anakin, or rather Vader, I should say, is incredibly spot on. I would have liked to have more flashback scenes with Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker and Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan. I'm glad that we got that in episode 5, but I would have liked more. I'm still glad that we got to have what we had, but still, like any fan, I always want more of the stuff I love. Hayden Christensen's acting was really on point as the deformed Anakin inside the Vader mask. On the opposite end of this episode, we have the sort of B plot with Reva going after young Luke Skywalker in the Lars family homestead. Now, here's a bit of an issue I had at first with that, is that I never quite got what Reva's game plan was. I never, well, at first, at least. At first, I didn't quite know what Reva was planning to do. Obviously, she saw the scanner, she saw Bail Organa's message saying that he's going to come and help Obi-Wan, which he didn't, by the way. Just wanted to point that out. He said he was going to come to help Obi-Wan, and that he's going to help Owen with the boy. Doesn't show up on Tatooine to do that. So yeah, just a little bit of a minor nitpick. But after she saw that message, I was curious as to what she's going to do, but throughout most of the time, I wasn't sure what she was going to do. Obviously, we see her at the beginning of the episode, but I wasn't quite sure if she's going there to kill Luke because she knows he's Vader's son. I wasn't sure if she was going to kill Owen and Beru because they're harboring a Force-sensitive child. I didn't know if her plan was to bring Luke to the Emperor and have another Force-sensitive child to turn into an Inquisitor. I didn't even... at one point, I even considered the idea that she might actually go to Tatooine to warn Owen and Beru Lars that Vader is coming, that Vader is looking for them. That's one of the ideas that went through my head when I was watching the scene. They never really did make it clear that she's going there specifically to kill Luke. At least not at first. Once she actually shows up in the Lars family homestead and she actually goes after Luke, that was when it became apparent. I kept expecting, while she was still fighting Owen, I kept expecting her to do what Din Djarin did in The Mandalorian during his fight with Ahsoka, where after a few blows between one another, he just forced the entire fight to stop and just explain to Ahsoka that he just wants to talk. I kept expecting her to tell Owen to stop shooting at her because she's actually there to help them, warn them about Vader. Story-wise, they didn't quite, or maybe editing-wise, they didn't quite make that point clear. Obviously, then once she starts chasing Luke, it became much more apparent that she was actually there to kill him, and I love the moment of she was contemplating killing him, but she kept seeing herself, her younger self, in the form of the younger Luke, and she realized she basically, with the traditional Star Wars themes, she became the very thing she swore to destroy. She was becoming another Vader, and that's eventually what stopped her. It wasn't Luke begging for his life. It wasn't Obi-Wan. She realized it on her own. So now Reva's off somewhere living her own life. I wonder if we ever get to see that character ever again. If not, I'm fine because I think her story arc is concluded now. We don't necessarily need more stuff, more lore about her, but I wouldn't mind getting some more of that if the powers that be decide to make something like that. And then obviously we transition into the point where this show basically becomes another Lord of the Rings with several different endings to it. And I'm not saying that is a bad thing. I actually liked all different endings to this one episode. It's just I didn't feel it was necessary to have all that, but I guess it makes it feel a bit more complete. The fact that they decided to give all these characters closures. It was great seeing Ian McDermott back as Palpatine, and I loved his dialogue with Obi-Wan. With Anakin, saying more or less the same stuff that he said to him in Return of the Jedi. Once again, going back to the whole mirroring the Return of the Jedi stuff. And it really did hammer the point that there's still a little bit of conflict inside Anakin, and it really does emphasizes the point that he made in Return of the Jedi, saying that Obi-Wan once thought as he did, and Luke still felt the conflict within him. You can see Vader is still a bit conflicted over what he should do, but he reassures the Emperor that his feelings on the matter are clear, which is something he did in Return of the Jedi, and it continues the relationship between Palpatine and Vader, which has been done so expertly well in the Lords of the Sith novel and the Vader comics, and I just love anytime we get to see the Emperor and Vader interacting with one another in the new Disney age. So yeah, more of that, please, thank you. The other alternate ending of going back to visit Leia and Bail Organa and Brie Organa. Again, I didn't feel it was necessary, but I appreciated it. I liked that they're still keeping that bit of connection alive, and I loved Obi-Wan going back to seeing Luke again, the actual introduction, because clearly in A New Hope, Luke knows who Ben is, but we never get to see these two interact with each other so far on the show, or even in the comics. So I liked that bit, and I loved Hello There. Obviously, it was bound to happen eventually from the moment they announced this show, and obviously the icing on the cake, the moment that made so many people happy, Qui-Gon Jinn showing up as a Force ghost. This just made me leap out of the very comfortable couch that you see right here in front of you. I loved it. I would have much preferred to see more of Qui-Gon. Again, I love what I got. Again, I just want more. And there were several other moments throughout this season where Qui-Gon definitely could have appeared. And I'm not going to say should have appeared, but it would have made more sense for him to appear there, especially at the beginning of the episode. But we finally got it right at the end, and I feel so happy for it. And again, going back to the Lord of the Rings analogy there, it's sort of Frodo and Bilbo and Gandalf going to the Grey Havens, Obi-Wan riding his EOP, and Qui-Gon's Force Ghost going into the Jundland Wastes, sort of hinting at a possible second season, but if not, it's still a perfect tying wrapping up this series with a nice, neat little bow. So I really like that. I appreciated that, and I just really like this series overall. If I had to summarize the entire season as a whole, I liked it. There were some stuff I didn't like about it, obviously. Mostly just nitpicky stuff, like Bail Organa not showing up to help Owen like he said he would. The clone trooper from episode 2 still bothers me. It was like, why would they show a clone trooper immediately after Obi-Wan begged help from Qui-Gon, who, once again, did not show up? What was up with that? A lot of, like I said, dangling threads, but not enough to make me dislike the show, or just not enough to sour my experience with the show. Overall, really liked the show, love the character of Obi-Wan, and I love what they did with Obi-Wan and Leia and Vader and Reva, obviously. So really, there isn't that much more to say about it, other than, like I said, I really liked this season. I like what Disney is doing with their Disney Plus live action shows. And like I said, I can't wait for Endor. And yeah, there isn't really that much to say beyond that. Just, Star Wars. So let me know what you all thought about Obi-Wan the show. Did you like it? Did you hate it? What did you like? What didn't you like? And let's just hope that Star Wars can maintain this level of quality, if not better. So until the next show from Star Wars that I'm going to watch, which most likely will be Endor in about a month or two from now, may the Force be with you. Always.
Hi there! Thank you for watching the video. And if you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and tell your friends. I'll see you next time.